Yo, what is up guys, welcome back to the weekly chart breakdown, this time in the form of a video with a camera. So as always, we start off on the pair GBPJPY and we start off on the weekly time frame. So here we can see that price has been in an overall very strong bullish trend. That's why I also was only basically looking for buys in this area. We had a strong bullish push. Now last week the weekly candle closed in a form of an indecision candle, meaning that the price in this area is pretty undecided in what direction we want to go. But at the same time, if we observe exactly, we can see that the wick to the downside is a little bigger than the wick to the upside, indicating to us that there was strong selling volume, but at the end of the day, price managed to close back above this major daily support zone right here, indicating to us that buyers are still overall in control. But what we also need to keep in mind is that here on the left, we have a very strong weekly resistance level, which price is currently trading below. So now coming down into the daily time frame, we see that price closed in a strong bullish engulfing candle, and the previous candle was a strong rejection candle, rejecting this previous resistance area right here. We had a break, we had a retest, and finally closing in a bullish engulfing. Now all of this is indicating to us that there's a high probability that we could continue our overall bullish trend, which we have on the weekly and on the daily time frame. And here the Fibonacci, so we want to pull it from the lowest point to the highest point before the retracement started, and we can see that price came down and touched 61.80 retracement level to the T before continuing up bullish. Now usually if a Fibonacci play plays out, you usually get a breakout at least to the minus 27 extension level right here. So that's why we could see a continuation of the bullish trend overall. So now coming down into the 4-hour time frame, knowing that I will mainly only be looking for buys, these are the scenarios that could play out. So here we see the white area, or the white zone right here, is the daily support and resistance zone where price is currently trading above. So as long as price can manage to maintain above this area right here, like this whole area, we could look for potential buy areas right here to then like to take buys into our next daily zone and resistance over there. Now, if price should, for whatever reason, break down below here and break below this 4-hour resistance level, then we can wait for a minor pullback to take low probability sells down into this area right here. Now, another scenario, if price breaks down into this zone right here, there's a high probability that we could see another buy or a buying volume coming in for buys all the way back up into this first point right here and the second resistance over here. But like I said, my bias on GJ overall very bullish. If price should just stay above this area and not really give us a pullback due to a lot of volume, then we want to wait for a breakout to the upside above this support and resistance area right here on the daily time frame. Wait for a 4-hour candle close, wait for a pullback, wait for an entry signal to then like to take bias in this next resistance. But as you can see, like with my strategy, it's basically just always trading price action, market structure, and always from zone to zone. That's why I have my zones, like my weekly, daily, and 4-hour zones marked off, and price usually always just moves from zone to zone. So if price, for example, we have support here. If price breaks this support, there's a high probability that it will come to this next resistance level, which if we go to the left, we can see that price has reacted here previously. Then if we continue, we can see that if price breaks this area right here, we'll come back down into this next daily zone right here, which if we look to the left, we can also see some reaction in this area right here. So it's basically always the same, right? It's always from zone to zone. So that's why I like it to keep it simple in my strategy and to keep the overview clean. Okay, so now coming to the pair GBPUSD, we also start off on the weekly time frame, and if we see and look at this, there is so much bullish volume in this last few weeks. We have no candle close bearish whatsoever. So that indicates we are still in a very strong bullish trend, and we could definitely see some bullish continuation this up following week, especially looking at this closure of this candle. So basically this is a hammer candle. We closed in a bullish hammer to the upside, and we had a big rejection to the downside. Now, if you see these type of candles, these usually indicate a continuation of the bullish volume. So now coming down into the daily time frame, what we see is that we had some previous daily resistance in this area right here, which had been rejected about 3 times before the breakout. So now we have officially broken out of this daily resistance right here. So basically, once we have a breakout, what we want to wait for ideally, of course, is for a pullback. So if we go down into the 4-hour time frame, here's what we see. We see this huge 4-hour candle close above our weekly resistance, but the next 4-hour candle somehow closed a little under it. So what would I like to see in this scenario? In this scenario, I would like to see an ideal pullback down into our daily support zone right here before looking to take buys all the way back up into this resistance right here, and maybe even the continuation of the overall trend. So the first area to look for buys would be this 4-hour support and resistance zone, because if we look to the left, this has been previous resistance. So once we have a breakout, we usually get a retest, wait for an entry signal to then look to take buys all the way back up. If price should disrespect this 4-hour support and resistance, then we'll most likely come back down into this daily support and resistance zone before continuing the bullish push. Now anything below this area would be medium probability sells all the way back down into our next support and resistance zone. So we want to wait for a break, closer below, retest, and then to take sales back down into this next weekly level. Now, I do highly believe that we will continue the bullish trend, but of course, anything can happen. So we always want to be like flexible and react in the depth to what the market is telling us, right? And then the next scenario, if we don't get a pullback to either this point or this point, then we can wait for a breakout to the upside, another closure above this 4-hour resistance, which is forming, and then wait for a pullback to then look to take continuous buys all the way up into this next areas that you can find out if we zoom out into the daily time frame and go a little to the left. So if we break above this resistance right here on the weekly and daily time frame, we might get a big bullish push all the way up into this area, because price always kind of repeats itself. So if we had this huge bearish drop right here, usually price will try to fill that area as well, and then we can, if we get a breakout and a retest into this zone, we might get a bigger bullish push all the way up to here, and that's going to be a big move to look forward for. So it will be around 360 pips, which is a lot. So just keep that in mind and keep that in the back of your head. Alright, so now coming to the pair gold dollar, we can see on the weekly time frame that price closed with a form of a bullish engulfing candle, but at the same time also a strong rejection candle to the upside, indicating to us that here is a lot of selling pressure that we need to keep in mind. So now coming down into the daily time frame, we see price closed in a bearish engulfing candle and respected this resistance right here, which we have on a daily and on the weekly time frame as well. So as long as price maintains below this area, we could see some little continuation of bearish volume before continuing the overall bullish trend that price is in. But now coming down into the 4-hour time frame, basically, which is a little different to GBPUSD, is price is still in a pretty bearish trend. So as long as price maintains in this bearish trend, we can see some bearish continuation down into this next area. So as long as price maintains below this major resistance right here, we could see some sells down into this previous weekly support, and if it breaks, we want to wait for a break and retest to then look to sell back down into this next weekly area right here. But if we do get a break above this area, above this resistance, we could wait for a 4-hour candle close above, wait for pullback into support, wait if it can hold to then look to take buys all the way up into this next area right here. And the overall bullish trend will continue once we break this previous highs that we have right here. So if we break this highs right here and this 4-hour resistance, we could wait for a break for a retest to then look to take buys based off this zone all the way back up into new highs. Keep in mind the overall trend on gold is still bullish, but for short term we could definitely still see some bearish volume before continuing the overall bullish trend, so just keep that in mind. And that's it for today's breakdown, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.